Hey, Chris Ross here with 8 Digit Media. Are you currently struggling with all of the dead leads that are sitting in your CRM right now? If you're like most advisors, the answer is yes. Today, I'm going to share some practical and tactical advice that you can use in order to start converting those dead leads and turn those into some high quality prospects for your practice starting today. Let's get into it. If you're like most financial advisors I know, you likely have a CRM that is full of leads that you've generated over the last year or maybe even decade, and you have these leads and they're just sitting and they're not converting. And you're wondering, well, what should I be doing in order to get these people to take the next step in my process? And you really need to go back and evaluate, one, how were those leads generated to begin with? And this is where most financial advisors really run into a lot of problems. One of the main problems that I see financial advisors encountering is lead buying. Lead buying is really just going to come down to you going to a vendor, letting them know that you are looking for a specific kind of lead. So for example, let's just say you're looking for someone who has at least $1 million in assets, and then you go and pay for that particular lead. But what we all know as a part of this particular process is a lot of these leads are, one, shared with multiple advisors, and then two, how that lead was generated was probably not in line with what it is that you want to be able to deliver as a service. Meaning maybe this particular lead just signed up because they wanted more information about how to set up a 401k, but that's not something that you do in your particular practice. So you have dozens or hundreds of these leads that have a completely different idea about how they want to be helped, and it doesn't align with what it is that you would like to deliver as a service. So really, first step is going to be you having a clear understanding about the types of leads that you ultimately really need, how they are generated, and how you can make sure that what they are looking for aligns with your services. As it relates to a lot of the leads that you likely have in your CRM right now, some of the most common advice that people are going to give you is, well, just follow up with the leads. And while that is true, again, this is where a lot of financial advisors seem to fail. Now, follow up just doesn't necessarily mean putting them on a drip campaign. We all know that a drip campaign is really going to be more passive. It's not something that's going to be more proactive. And unless you are a really good writer and you're using canned content from a lot of these different services that are out there, then those emails are likely, one, just going completely unread because they're not resonating with anyone, which is going to lead to you not being able to effectively follow up. One of the ways that I like to combat this problem is really having a clear understanding about what a particular lead wants to begin with. See, you can't really help somebody unless you really know what it is that they're having a problem with. So one of the ways that we like to solve this problem in our agency for advisors is to segment the leads that are coming into the funnel right at the very beginning. So for example, one question that we like to ask people is, what is your biggest challenge as it relates to planning for retirement? And this is going to give people an opportunity to give you an open-ended response that's going to give you some firepower in order to be able to follow up with people. Now, the responses that you're going to get from this open-ended question is going to be something that's going to take a little bit more time and effort to follow up, meaning you won't necessarily be able to create an automation that's going to necessarily read this data and then be able to send some kind of canned follow-up out to people systematically. But if you do have a team of setters or maybe junior advisors that are on your team, this is where you can really get some gold and understand what problems people have and then lead with a solution to that problem in your follow-up content. And that is a more surefire way to get people to respond to you. Here are a few things that you may want to consider when it comes to creating an effective system in order to follow up with your leads. One of the best pieces of advice that I can give you as it relates to this is use case studies or, again, personal stories. So if you can tell a story about a client that had a particular problem that you were able to solve and then model that in your content, that's going to go a long way in getting people to respond, because we tend to all have the same problems day in and day out. There really aren't any real unique problems that a lot of your particular clients are going to encounter, or maybe a lot of your leads may encounter. So by using real life stories of clients, obviously you don't want to mention your clients' names, but being able to use that in your content is going to be one of the more effective ways in getting people to follow up. Another tip that I would like to provide here is the use of social proof. Now, I know for financial advisors, being able to use testimonials, it's kind of a tricky situation. There's definitely some rules and guidelines that you need to follow. But if you can understand how you can take those reviews and or personal recommendations from clients and get those integrated into your marketing, whether that is on your website or maybe on your Google My Business profile, social proof goes a long way in getting people to take the next step, because we all like to see and or read a good review before we are going to decide to buy something. So having more social proof is just a very easy way in order to get people to take the next step. If I have to give one piece of advice to any advisor in order to get more people to follow up, that would be simply calling people. Now, I know this is not something new and a lot of people don't want to make calls, but I can tell you the data has proved over and over again, if you make strategic phone calls out to your leads, you will definitely get more consultations booked on your calendar. If you have hundreds or thousands of leads in your CRM, you obviously don't want to try to call all these people. And one of the ways that you can get around this is to really think how leads are generated to begin with. So this goes back to what I said earlier about segmentation. If you are segmenting your leads as they start to enter your funnel, then you can pass off those leads that are more high value to people on your team where they can do the calls, and you're going to spend most of your time and your effort on leads that are more likely to convert than maybe people who are not really interested in what it is that you're doing right now. So number one piece of advice, call the leads. Now, a lot of what I shared with you today doesn't matter unless you have a systematic approach in order to generate leads for your particular funnel. And this is something that we do in our agency day in and day out for our advisors. One of the best things that you can do in order to be effective with your lead generation is going to come down to what we call dynamic audience matching. What this is a system that we've developed that allows us to take who your best clients are, segment those individuals, and create custom audiences in order to help attract more people that are like your best clients, but do this in a systematic way where each campaign that we run, the quality of your leads increase over time. If you want to learn more about how this particular system works, click the link in the description below to learn more. That's all I have for you today. I would love to hear some of your thoughts and your comments about maybe some of the struggles that you've encountered as an advisor with converting existing leads and or generating new leads. So leave a comment below. I'll be happy to read and respond. That's all I have. See you on the next one.